What's good, YouTube? This video is going to be about 3 questions you need to ask a man before you catch feelings. Now, before I start listening, a lot of people always ask me this question. What should I be asking a man? What should I be asking a man? What should I be asking a man? On dates, on the phone, through text message. I get this question all the time. Well, there are a lot of questions. I have about 10 lined up, but y'all know I'm long-winded, so I probably only have time to do about 3. Now listen, the point of asking these questions isn't so he can give you the perfect answer, isn't because you think he's going to answer completely honestly, or any particular guy is going to be honest, isn't so you can trust what he says. It's so you can observe how he handles the moment. It's so you can observe what he tries to get you to think about him through his answers. It's so you can observe how he actually feels about having conversations that might be uncomfortable, and or how comfortable he is having these types of conversations, right? There's a lot to be observed in the answer that a person gives you that has nothing to do with the words that come out of their mouths. Many of us have known people to lie when asked questions like this, but it's not about the answer specifically. It's about his comfort in that moment. It's about how welcome he is to have that conversation. It's about how his subsequent actions line up with the answers that he gave you. It gives you so much more to observe if you've had this conversation, if you had these interactions, and then you're watching his actions in hindsight with that knowledge. If he lies to you and his actions don't match, then you know you're in a mismatch. If he's telling the truth and his actions match, you know you probably have somebody who's serious. If he gives you anything different than what he displays and or doesn't like the questions, isn't into it, calls it an interview, shows irritation or restraint to the conversation, you know you're probably not dealing with someone who really wants anything from you. So you're looking for his willingness to have the conversation, his genuine response to the conversation, whatever he thinks or wants you to think based on his answers, his efforts to manipulate your idea of him, and or his genuine sentiment in response to those questions. You are measuring everything but the answer in most cases, because we don't trust strangers. We have no reason to trust them, but we have to trust us to take care of us, to do what's right for us. So with that said, these are the 3 questions that you should probably ask a man before you get emotionally involved with him, before you decide you like him. Question number 1, how often do you speak to or contact a woman when you're serious about her? Right? Again, how often do you speak to or contact a woman when you're serious about her? The majority of the clients I've encountered, when they do have an issue with the guy that they thought they had a chance with, it's in communication. Not necessarily how they talk or the fluidity of speech as they speak to each other, but how often they're contacted, how often they're responding to, right? How many phone calls they get, how many dates they get, how often they see a man. Too often when people are in relationships, budding or developing, they have this idea that they're supposed to be guarding themselves, keeping a low profile, not applying pressure, not making the other person feel uncomfortable. All of these different things, right? We don't want to wear out our welcome too quickly. But again, if you're asking a man, when you're serious about a woman, how often do you talk to her? How often do you see her? You're really asking him to project what you can expect if and when he decides that he has feelings or emotions for you. There's a lot of good information there, whether or not he bullshits the answer. He could say something like, well, I like to at least see her every day or talk to her every day and see her a few times a week. Cool. Now you have a barometer. Now you have something to measure whether or not you're having an experience of a woman who he would be serious about. Sometimes a guy would say, well, I'm not sure, I'm busy. You know, I work a lot. Then you immediately know he's setting you up to be neglected. And whether or not he means to neglect is inconsequential. The intention isn't important if the result is neglect. So when a guy hems and haws about the answer to that, or he starts alluding to how busy he is, or how hectic his schedule is, or how much he works, how he tries to give her whatever he had, you know, if it's a struggle for him to answer that question, or it seems to be a struggle in his answer to make consistent contact, then you already know this guy doesn't have time to date, or he's not going to prioritize dating in his life. He could also tell you, oh, I'm going to see her every day. I'm going to see her every day. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be present. And then if he doesn't do that, then you know he's not serious about you. Again, you're getting information regardless. Whether he lies or tells the truth, you're getting good information. But pay attention. Don't just listen to the words. Look at the body language. Look at his response. Look at his comfort in having that conversation. A lot of times a man don't like you, don't think you're important enough to be even answering these questions for. So if he refuses to answer the question, if he refuses to play this game or have this conversation, then now you know that you're a little bit low on the totem pole. He doesn't even want to have a conversation with you that will cause him to be uncomfortable. How much could he like you? Because when we like a person, we'll at least fake it and participate. So again, none of these questions are about the exact answer you get from a man. It's about everything that comes with the answer. With that said, the second question you want to ask a guy before you decide to have emotions for him or fall for him or start liking him is, how do you feel about titles? We've been through this. If a man doesn't like titles, if a man doesn't believe in titles, if a man thinks titles are binding, or if they complicate the relationship, or whatever bullshit he tells you about titles. If he doesn't believe in titles, stop talking to him. If you want to be a girlfriend, if you want to ultimately be a wife, you can't get to wife without girlfriend first. So if he tells you he don't believe in titles, but he wants to be married, he's bullshitting. No man I've ever met who really wanted a wife was afraid of the title girlfriend. Girlfriend is an illegally binding title. There's really no pressure at all to a man but to be good to you and to treat you right and to have some kind of standard of conduct for himself involving other women when you're his girlfriend, but it's not legally binding. So when a man is avoidant of the girlfriend thing, when a man is avoidant of the girlfriend titles, you don't have a marriage or anything substantial coming. He might get you pregnant, but you're never going to have a relationship where you feel comfortable and you feel secure, because his goal isn't to give you security. I'm not even going to spend another time with this because I talk about this all the time on this channel. Moving on. The third question that you need to ask a guy before you start trying to have a relationship with him or before you catch feelings is, how long does it take you to commit to a woman and make her your girlfriend? This is very important, right? Because on the second question, we're talking about a guy who even believes in titles, whether or not he believes in titles, right? How do you feel about titles? If a guy is either anti-title, you don't have to talk to him, so don't waste your time. But if a guy is pro-title, he's going to give you the beautiful speech that you've been waiting for if he's pro-title, right? So that'll make you feel warm and fuzzy inside that he did it. But when you ask a man, how long does it take you to commit to a woman and make her your girlfriend, all of a sudden we're back into reality. All of a sudden we got to figure out how slow he likes to take it, right? If a guy tells you, well, it takes him a while to catch feelings, or it takes him a while to make a woman his girlfriend, or he likes to talk to a woman for 4 months or 6 months, whatever timeline he gives you, now you know how long he's going to waste your time, or you know how serious he is. When a man is serious about you, he's not afraid of the girlfriend, right? And he understands that he has to get to know you over time anyway, almost through the relationship. So while you shouldn't rush into trusting a person, you shouldn't rush into mixing finances, you shouldn't rush into building some kind of codependent relationship that would be unhealthy under any circumstances, you definitely need to be intentional about getting to know each other, about growing, and about being very clearly committed to one another, right? There's no harm in doing that when you're serious about a person. So when you ask a man, how long does it take you to commit to a woman and make her your girlfriend? Now we're getting back to the particulars. A lot of guys will tell you after they tell you they believe in titles and they support titles that it takes them a really long time to commit to a woman because they have trust issues. Well, now we're dealing with that bullshit again. Just like men don't want to have to deal with the mistakes that other men before them made, it's not your responsibility to prove to him that women aren't garbage through kissing his ass long term, giving him every benefit to a relationship without the security that should come with what you're doing for him and what you're providing. Both people's mental health and security needs to be a priority while you're getting to know a person, while you're deciding to grow with them, while you're evolving into a relationship. So really listen to the timeline, because this might be an honest answer. Really listen to it, because a guy will try to warn you and try to groom you for whatever time he feels like taking in your life with this answer. If he says, well, it takes me a while, you know, I'm really slow, I like to take everything slow. Okay, cool. Well, how slowly is he taking the sex? If he wants to jump in bed right now, but he's telling you it takes him 6 months to make a woman his girlfriend, then you know you don't have shit coming. It doesn't take a man 6 months to learn if he wants to be with you or not, if he wants to try to be your man or not. It doesn't take that long. This question will reference his history, his past, right? How long does it take you to make a woman your girlfriend? It's a very simple answer. It's taking me 6 months. It's taking me 3 months. It's taking me 3 weeks before. There are actual answers, and there is an actual reference point that he can go to. So if he gives you an area answer, ask him about the particulars. Well, in your previous relationships, how long did it take you to start an actual relationship, to commit to that woman, to make her your woman? That's valuable information, because you cannot expect much better than the women before you have received from him. And if he's uncomfortable with talking timelines, then you know, again, you're probably dealing with someone who's going to waste your time and who wants a long-term, indefinite situationship. So again, you have thoughts, you have standards, and you have hopes about these same things. So match his answers up with what you desire and what you intrinsically need from a budding relationship. If his answers don't match what you need, if his response doesn't match what you need, if his body language says he's uncomfortable talking about this, it just means sometimes that he doesn't want to talk about it with you. You're not important enough to have this conversation. If he answers every question, can I be real? You want me to be honest? You want me to be real? And then he gives you some bad news, stop talking to him. Don't go on a second date. Don't have another conversation. Leave that man alone. Let him waste somebody else's time. It's not malicious. He's not a bad guy just because he doesn't want what you want. But he will be bad for you. And that's the point. So start asking hard questions. Have real conversations. Stop being so afraid to put pressure on a person to represent what they stand for. And again, he could lie about this too, but that's why you're observing. That's why you're having these conversations in person or at least on FaceTime. There's so much more than a man's words to observe when he's telling you about who he is or trying to manipulate you into thinking he is a certain thing. Be observant and use your discernment. That's all I got for now. Follow me at KFA24 on Instagram. I'll get with y'all later.